Black man. Look at it. He's nothing given. You've never seen 50 give nobody no flowers, no respect. He just play on people's downfall. Diddy.
The beef between 50 Cent and Big Meech didn't just get personal, it started hitting pockets. From mysterious canceled concerts to rumors about snitching, these two have been tangled in a saga that keeps fans glued to every twist. But there's one claim that has everyone talking. Is 50 Cent really going broke because he dared to cross Big Meech? Or is that just another stunt cooked up by 50's enemies to get under his skin? It all began when Rick Ross decided to pour gasoline on the fire, teasing that 50 Cent was struggling to finance his own G-Unit film studio. Ross went public, claiming that if 50 didn't shut up, he would buy 50's masters. Yes, the very music that built 50's empire, and leave him begging. People laughed at first, but then Rick Ross doubled down, saying 50's credit had gotten so bad that no bank wanted to give him a loan. He even went so far as to make jokes about the cheap land 50 supposedly bought for his studio, hinting that if 50 wasn't careful, he'd be forced to sell his share in everything. That wasn't just a random dig. Ross wanted to plant a seed in everyone's mind. Maybe 50's bigger-than-life persona was starting to crack under pressure, but anyone who's followed 50 Cent knows he doesn't take these shots lying down. He responded by telling fans he had receipts that would prove who the real broke one was. He didn't name names, but people could guess he was pointing fingers at Rick Ross and possibly Big Meech, too. According to 50, there's no way a billionaire. Yes. He's been rumored to be in that range, would be so short on cash that he couldn't build a studio. True or not, the internet couldn't look away, with fans split on whether 50's money was really drying up. Some people believed Ross's claims, arguing 50 had been caught up in too many legal battles. Others insisted 50 was only using the chatter to drum up publicity for new projects. Things escalated when rumors surfaced about a Big Meech and Rick Ross welcome home concert that never actually happened. The talk was that the show got canceled at the last second, costing Big Meech and Ross a big payday. Fingers started pointing at 50 with the theory that he'd pulled some backdoor moves to make sure the concert fell through. That theory took off because 50 has never made it a secret that he thinks anyone who sides with Rick Ross has questionable loyalty, especially if they're associated with the Black Mafia family. 50 tried to distance himself from the rumors, but people remembered how Ross had once called him out, labeling him hurt and pressed over the fact that Rick Ross and Big Meech might be making serious money without him. To make matters worse, video clips floated around showing Ross publicly taunting 50, saying that 50 should focus on making real money moves instead of blaming others. Big Meech and Rick Ross didn't stop at the concert fiasco. They started making fun of 50 for claiming he was the real boss behind the BMF story. This came to a head when 50 announced his BMF television series, partnered with Tammy Cowan, the very person who holds the rights to make creative projects about Big Meech's life. As the rumor goes, Big Meech signed over those life rights to Tammy, never thinking it would land in 50 Cent's lap. Next thing you know, 50 reveals he's planning a tell-all documentary featuring sealed affidavits that allegedly prove Big Meech cooperated with authorities to shave time off his sentence. This was a direct shot at Meech's street credibility, and it left fans stunned. Big Meech denied it, but 50 was adamant that Tammy held the paperwork to back everything up. It didn't help that 50 kept casually calling him Big Screech, hinting that Meech wasn't as solid as his legend portrayed. In the midst of all this chaos, Lil Meech found himself right in the middle. At first, he seemed to be on good terms with 50. 50 Cent put him in acting school, made him the star of the BMF series, and got him paid well. There were rumors he walked away with around $5 million from that show alone, but if Lil Meech ever planned on saving that money, people sure didn't see it. Photos spread online of him wearing sky-high priced jewelry, jumping in and out of exotic cars, and living like he had endless checks rolling in. Tony Yayo, longtime friend of 50, spoke up, saying he couldn't believe Lil Meech had blown so much money in such a short time. The general sentiment was that Lil Meech should have been saving some of that income, especially if he wanted to help his dad when he got out of prison. If there was any doubt about Lil Meech's relationship with 50 Cent, it got more confusing when Lil Meech privately messaged 50, insisting he wasn't turning on him. He claimed the sudden link with Rick Ross was strictly about money. His father needed help, and Rick Ross was the one offering it. That was his story. He also said he still had love for 50 and only chose to take Ross's cash to keep Big Meech's bills paid. But almost immediately afterward, pictures surfaced online showing Lil Meech hanging out with Rick Ross in public, laughing, clubbing, and making sure everyone saw it on social media. Then came another surprising twist. Lil Meech posted photos with Floyd Mayweather, who famously has his own beef with 50. In one picture, he even used a sneaky caption referencing real power, which many interpreted as a jab at 50's show Power. From that point on, it was clear Lil Meech had switched sides, clearly felt betrayed. He took to social media to blast Lil Meech, calling him a snake who was only relevant because 50 had poured time, money, and mentorship into him. According to 50, he tried to keep Lil Meech from spiraling into destructive habits, even getting him off certain substances so he wouldn't get fired from the BMF series. 50 told stories about how Lil Meech was allegedly caught using whippets on set, throwing up in the middle of important scenes, and generally making a mess of things. Apparently, he wasn't listening to any advice about money management or how to stay focused on acting. Instead, 50 hinted that Big Meech encouraged his son to live large, bragging about his own days of burning cash. This only deepened the divide between father and son on one side and 50 on the other. Once the behind-the-scenes drama leaked, Big Meech and Lil Meech doubled down. They posed for pictures with Rick Ross and Floyd, both of whom were longtime foes of 50 Cent. They started referencing boss moves, a phrase Ross loves to use. They mocked the G-Unit brand, with Rick Ross claiming G-Unit was past its prime. Meanwhile, 50 responded by saying he was pulling the plug on the BMF series entirely. He'd rather lose the potential millions than keep paying checks to people he felt were ungrateful. That stung Lil Meech in particular, as that TV show had become his main source of income. He'd spent everything he earned, and now he wasn't. Guaranteed another season, fans noticed how quickly Lil Meech pivoted to Rick Ross's rumored plan to produce a BMF film. Ross bragged that he'd make a real BMF story, teasing that he'd bring in top directors who could invest a big budget and blow 50's smaller-scale series out of the water. But there's a legal hurdle. 50 still holds the rights to adapt BMF stories through Tammy Cowan. Without 50's sign-off, Ross might struggle to do anything official. Of course, Ross had his own angle, claiming that 50 doesn't actually have the capital to keep funding big projects, so maybe Ross wouldn't even need his blessing if 50's brand collapses. The back and forth turned into something of a circus, with fans and commentators guessing which side would cave first. The entire scenario left people questioning whether Big Meech's influence is really strong enough to cause 50's alleged financial issues. Some say Big Meech still carries weight in certain circles, while others argue 50 has faced bigger and more powerful adversaries without losing so much as a penny. In fact, if you ask 50, he's been in worse feuds. Public spats with other famous artists that ended up helping his career, not hurting it. The notion that Big Meech could derail a rap mogul's finances after being locked up for so many years sounds questionable at best. Yet rumors on social media can be damaging, and that's exactly why Rick Ross keeps hammering the 50 is broke narrative. He knows if people repeat something often enough, it can start to seem true. Still, 50 has a habit of laughing off claims about his money problems. He's declared bankruptcy in the past, only to bounce back with massive deals. He's also been known to troll back, using any negativity to his advantage, flipping it into publicity for upcoming shows or product launches. So, the question is whether this time is any different. When Ross threatened to buy his masters, 50 joked that Ross should worry about paying for his own mansions, casually pointing out that he might release a new track calling out Ross's so-called fake boss act. Ross responded by announcing that if 50 didn't keep quiet, he would indeed buy up anything under the G-Unit name. It's classic rap drama, both sides claiming they hold the winning card, while fans tune in for the next move. The real heartbreak might be how Big Meech and Lil Meech burned their bridge with 50, who'd arguably done more for them financially in recent years than anyone else. 50 didn't mind letting the world know he feels disrespected, especially because he worked with Lil Meech when Big Meech was locked up, helping shape a new path for him in Hollywood. Lil Meech's seeming lack of gratitude is what turned 50's annoyance into full-blown rage. 50 even posted about how he had to bail out Lil Meech multiple times when he got into legal trouble, which left fans wondering if the father-son duo just saw 50 as a source of easy money.